welcome back to another Inside Texas Live. It's our Around the League segment, joined by two not just really knowledgeable folks when it comes to football, but two good friends. Chris Marler, welcome back to the channel, and for the first time, Mr. Drew Myers, Drew TAMU, as you might see him on Twitter and on his own personal YouTube channel. Fellas, how we doing this evening?
Good,
doing great, man. Thanks for having us.
Well, of course. And before we get into everything, guys, hop on over to InsideTexas.com. Come check out the forums. Number one place for all in-depth analysis on this football team that we're all, puzzled about at times. Number one place for your recruiting scoops. We got the X's and O forums, with Ian, Paul. We've got everything over there. Go check out the forums. Guaranteed to have a lot of fun, especially right now while this season's going on. All right, fellas, let's get into it real quick. Good gracious. We already got some fun in the comments, but I can't post that on the screen. With that being said, Chris.
I mean, we can say yes to that.
Yeah, there we go. Chris is going to be with us for a half an hour, and I didn't really prep him for this, but we did this last year on my own channel. And I didn't even warn Drew about this because I thought it'd be fun to get his raw reaction. Okay. But last year, Chris, we did a thing where we went through every SEC team, and you tried to, we were going to just do one word, and it kind of turned into, maybe a sentence or two. But I'd like to run that back. And Drew, you're going to be a part of this. Again, we have Chris for 30 minutes. Normally, we kind of do a recap of games from last week. We look forward to games this week. And I thought this would be a fun way for Chris to say a little bit about, what he thinks of everything. So with that being said, this is Inside Texas. Let's get honest. Let's start with Drew. Drew, give me a sentence or two that sums up what you think about the Texas Longhorns and the football program right now.
Oh, man. I mean, two sentences, really good defense, really shaky offense. You may keep it as simple as that. We can go with that. But, I mean, we're all going to get more deep into this tonight. But, I mean, you have a championship-level defense out there doing everything they can to keep this season going. And an offense that just, I mean, maybe the ugliest win of the Sark era, the ugliest win you've seen in a long time offensively. Oh, man. I'll leave it at that for now.
All right, Chris. I feel like we got the very cordial, if you will, version of that answer. Chris, what you got for me?
If y'all had to play Oklahoma's schedule, you'd be 8-4 at best. This Texas team has been just gift wrapped a welcome to the SEC for 2 straight years. And what they've done with it, with one of the most talented rosters in the country, I'm going to go over two sentences. You knew this. It's mind-blowing, and I still love Sark, and I still think he should be calling plays. He is a good enough coach and one of the best offensive minds in the country. There's just no part of me that's able to talk about Texas without laughing hysterically at all the media that came to Atlanta at media days, clamoring over Arch, and then like, this is the best team ever. You guys heard about Texas? And it's like, brother, they lost in the building 300 yards away from here. So, yeah, I would say I hate to see it, but going on the road to Kentucky and having that outcome was crazy. I think they would have played Oklahoma's schedule, they'd be 8-4 at best. 2 sentences.
I'm glad we ripped that band off immediately.
And they could still go 8-4 this year.
I think anything is kind of on the table in my personal opinion. Again, we'll get more into it as we talked a little bit about Texas and their road trip to Starkville down the line. But considering Drew TAMU is here, Chris, let's start with you. We're talking Texas A&M, couple sentences, if you will. Your thoughts on the 2025 Elko's Aggies?
Really like Mike Elko a lot. It's tough not to. I think he's kind of made A&M, just the atmosphere at Kyle Field, kind of cool. And that's tough to do with no offense, Drew, but that's tough to do with.
It's a big compliment.
I mean, it was a long road to get there for, I think, a lot of unbiased fans. But I mean, like, it's kudos to y'all. It's been awesome watching Kyle Field and those entrances in the stadium, all that kind of stuff. Love that Marcel Reed has been better. I think he's become a much better passer than people want to give him credit for. I have so many question marks about the defense, though, because 2 road trips, you give up 40+ in both. Gave up over 20 in a couple of those other games, and the only time they've been good is against bad offenses. So it'll be interesting this week.
Yeah, I mean, I'll bounce off what you're saying. I mean, yeah, we're seeing Marcel Reed kind of just incrementally get better week on week, and that's exactly what we needed to see. A very realistic kind of just, ramp up through the year. I think he's just getting better, taking what's there, seeing the field a lot better as he matures as a player, and that's been awesome. And that's been a big reason that A&M has been able to kind of keep this thing going and not skipping a beat. Places they probably lose under previous regimes. They probably slip up once or twice in those games. And I'll say, to simplify this, you're seeing complementary football in a way. you're seeing, in a game or a half, one side of the ball, one side of the team is able to, carry the other side while they're maybe having a bad stretch, because it hasn't all been perfect through a 7-0 start.
Yeah.
Jury is very much still out on this defense. You made the point that it's the road games. You've also played your best offenses on the road. You've played the best offenses you've seen on the road. So, I mean, we'll find out this weekend for sure, because you're on the road, but it's an offense that, hasn't been clean. So I think we'll probably get a lot of answers this weekend. That's actually really exciting, just for, gathering information about your team, because we're week 9 now. At some point, you're going to kind of be what you are. So
really some teams have played like 87 ranked opponents, guys. Everyone that I have to cover has. It's been a nightmare.
Yeah, we got the one.
Well, and speaking of that, and speaking of the matchup at Death Valley, Chris, starting with you, give me your thoughts on Brian Kelly's Tigers. Obviously, you're doing a lot of coverage over there in Baton Rouge, and probably have a good pulse on what the fan base is feeling and saying right now.
I like Brian Kelly, and I understand the fan angst. 4th straight year they've had 2 losses going in the month of November. That's a very tough pill to swallow. It's also very tough when you go into the month of November with 2 losses, knowing that Alabama is your first game every year in the month of November. So I like them this weekend. No offense, Drew. I think there's a lot of I like about A&M, but there's also I just have a hard time believing that LSU at some point is not going to click, because there's too much talent on this roster for them not to. And I think Nussmeier's getting healthier. But one loss at home at night since Kelly's gotten there, he's going to need to win. They're not going to pay a $53 million buyout for him this year, but they're gonna start collecting some money if they end up going 7-5.
How about you, Drew?
Do you like the quirky press conference rants and all that stuff? Are you into that? Because I kind of like it. I think it's fun.
Oh, I'm there every week. I love it.
Yeah, it's always exciting. Awesome. Yeah, you never know what you're going to get. Yeah, it's real fun. It's an interesting game for both sides, man. I mean, for LSU, it's your ticket back in, right? You have a top 3 team that, has played well, but maybe isn't perfect, maybe has flaws you feel like you can exploit, and your backs are against the wall, wounded animal mode, whatever you want to call it. It's all on the line for LSU right now. And my whole thing with LSU going into the year was you had to get the upside on one of 2 areas. It was that defense as a whole being retooled, being, 2 years into the new staff. That had to happen, and it looks like it has. And, banged up right now. I think that showed versus Vandy. But the defense has absolutely lived up to it. It's the best defense we're going to have faced on the year for sure. Second best we will face on the year. I'll give Texas the nod there for being the best defense on our schedule. But, again, this is going to test the A&M defense. I mean, it's an offensive line that looks like it can be exploited. But with LSU, there's always this factor of they have the talent, they have the pieces, they have the quarterback, they certainly have the receivers. I mean, I think you're getting a little bit out of that, the freshman running back whose name escapes me right now, number 22. Maybe the running game can be there. Yeah. And I look at an LSU offense that if they commit to the run, I mean, I haven't watched every LSU rep this year, but it seems like there's been some success, but as usual, you fade the run. And it seems like I think you have 3 guys over 4.5 yards to carry. I think you block a little bit better in the run game than in the pass protection department. And that scares me a little bit, because in A&M's worst defensive games, you've been gashed on the ground. Arkansas just did it for a half in a big way. Freaking UTSA did it and scared the crap out of all of us for a half in week 1. So that's there. And of course, it's just that upside that LSU has that everyone thought was going to come to fruition going into the year. We can't let this be the week it happens. We just can't let y'all back in the door, because for A&M, you win this one, you're going to beat Samford. You're 9-0. I mean, you have 3 games to get 1 to get to the playoff, and obviously our goals are going to heighten after that. We're going to hope to make it to Atlanta and all that, but it's such a big game for totally different reasons for both sides. And yeah, a lot of Aggies that I talk to expecting a big win, expecting A&M to go out there, put it all together, win by 20, get out of there laughing, in the rainstorm that might be there. Yeah. But I think it's a scary game. I think it's a very close game. And I think we're going to get LSU's best effort on the year.
I would agree with that. Also, just let me touch on one thing, Joshie Manning, love you to death. I never said it wasn't going to come together for Texas. I just don't think Texas is very good. I would not, no offense, I just would not have Texas even above LSU right now.
I'll add to that. I'll say I think LSU has more of an offensive path. I think with Texas, and we'll get into this more later, Texas, they both have the offensive line issue, right? And that kind of just destabilizes your offense as a whole. I mean, it hurts your run game, pass game, everything. But I think LSU is finding some stuff in between kind of a bad offensive line. They'll find some stuff now and then. Texas, when they have opportunities, they're missing them. And that's kind of the big difference I'm seeing between the two, especially in the most recent game versus Kentucky. I mean, you're struggling to protect, you're struggling to run. you're fading the run. I mean, you had like 8 designed runs in the first half, something like that. And when the plays are there, Arch is missing, or a Wingo's dropping it, or you're running a wild reverse play on a 3rd and 3. So I think LSU has a little bit better path offensively, but I still, again, give Texas the defensive nod.
Are you happy, Joshy? We're asking for opinions on LSU, and you got them dogging Texas here on Inside Texas again. Way to go, buddy.
Imagine that. A Texas
Imagine
fan
that.
divert conversation back to Texas.
Get in there and make it about you, pal. And I don't want to hear that right now. So comment on the other teams.
And I just took the bait like an absolute sucker.
No, I would get in there and twist a knife too if I were you. Again, we'll share all thoughts. I'll share more on what I'm thinking about Texas and Mississippi State later when we get into that portion. But for now, let's move on to Alabama, who I have as hands down the best team in the conference at the moment. Drew, what are your thoughts with the Tide?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to win this game running away this weekend. I mean, what a turnaround. I don't know if you remember, Cord, we had the buy, sell, lease exercise in the offseason, and I was the one that sold Bama. I was the one that sold the Boars Bama, and y'all clown me a little bit for it, and I felt like I deserved it because after thinking about it, it's like, man, they're recruiting great. DeBoer's getting grubbed. They're going to have the quarterback they want. And after week 1, I felt so validated, man. I felt like I was on the right path to get on the right side of that. But the turnaround has been stellar, man. I mean, they're doing it without like a consistent run game. Ty Simpson's been absolutely awesome. They finally got Ryan Williams going. I mean, just adding that element with Bernard. I mean, they're doing a lot of things. They're manufacturing a run game without a classic, between the tackles running game right now. And I mean, South Carolina offensive line. OU ran on them. OU. I mean,
not only ran on them, had 130 yards in the first quarter and a half. They averaged 123 a game coming into it.
Yeah,
but those backs are elite in Norman. They elite depth chart of backs, so stable, if you will.
Ugh. Yeah, I'm still waiting for the Ott breakout. But anyway, yeah, man. I mean, I have Bama taking this thing running away, 18, 21 point win, something like that. I think the spread's 13.5. Bama big.
What you think, Chris?
About the game or about Bama?
Bama, man.
Now listen, Joshy Manning. I'm going to say some words here that you're not going to really understand. So you might want to get a Duolingo situation going on here. Alabama has beaten 4 ranked opponents. Now, a ranked opponent is a team that's ranked in the top 25. I know that's not a big thing over here in Austin, but Bama has beaten 4 in a row. It's the only team in SEC history to do that. I think there's a ton of credit needs to go to DeBoer. Watching him come out of the tunnel against Tennessee was awesome. It was like the fire, the energy, the excitement. Like, it is very difficult to get up for back-to-back games that are against ranked opponents, let alone do it for 3 straight weeks and then do it for 4 straight weeks. Here's the thing I'll tell you. I brought this up to him at Media Days in Atlanta, and I was like, hey, man, you're 15-3 against ranked opponents, best record in the country. Now he's 19-3, okay? But in his 14 losses, now 15 against as an FBS coach, 11 of the 15 have come on the road. 11 of the 15 have come to unranked teams, and 11 of the 15 have come, or I'm sorry, 7 of the 15 have come when he's been ranked by double digits. That track record fits every single, or you check every single box when you talk about this South Carolina game. I don't know if that's going to happen because South Carolina is terrible. I know that because I cover them for work, and it is tough, man. It's just the offensive line is already horrible, and they're down 3 starters. And then, they're just not. It's maddening because they play LSU. Matthew Fuller has a 72-yard touchdown. It would make sense to give him the ball again after that. Once, didn't do it at all. The rest of the first half. And then I look at this other part too, where it's like you go for 50 yards rushing in the first drive of the game against Oklahoma. You end the game with 54. And on top of all that, you're the worst rushing offense in the conference, almost the country. You get 1st and goal from the 9. You run the ball 3 straight times. I'll give you guys a pop quiz, fellas. How many of those runs do you think went to Lenora Sellers, your only good player, the 6'3", 240-pound unicorn in the backfield?
The same amount of passing touchdowns that we had last week in Lexington?
0.
Knew it.
So it's just been insane to watch. I will tell you, I think at some point I would expect Bama to have like a slow start or a sleepy start or something like that, and it might be this week. But South Carolina is just very, very bad.
I will say that I love Alabama and Kalen DeBoer, the coaching staff, the mentality that they seem to have, the energy. which coach was it on the sideline with Isaiah Horton when he took him over to the little girl? And it's not like a whole, like, hey, this is Susie. She's from, Auburn, but roots for the Tide, and she's here to watch you. It was like, what are you going to do essentially to make sure she has a great experience? She ain't here to see no bullshit. What's up? What are you going to do? I'm all about it, man. That was awesome.
Jamarcus Shepard, man, the receivers coach. It also is wild. Like he cut like a WWE promo for a child. It was just like, that was the most, sir, this is a Wendy's moment I've seen from that staff in quite some time. It was awesome though.
It was pretty elite. We're going to get more opinions on more SEC teams. So first, let's hear a word from our sponsor, Luxe Kitchen and Bath.
Are you ready to love your kitchen and bathroom again? Luxe Kitchen and Bath will bring that to life. Luxe has been offering high-end kitchen and bathroom remodels for 3 generations throughout the greater Austin area. With 5-star review after 5-star review on Google and Facebook and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, you can put your faith in Luxe Kitchen and Bath's award-winning designers and skilled craftspeople to bring your dream vision to life. But that's not all. Luxe's all-star team also provides full home remodels, large additions, and even commercial build-outs as well. So call Luxe Kitchen and Bath at 833-358-LUXE today, or visit luxekitchenbath.com to discover where quality meets luxury and begin the process of transforming your home. Get your free quote today by calling 833-358-LUXE. That's LUXE, or by visiting luxekitchenbath.com. Contact info is in the description.
All righty, guys. Let's talk Oklahoma. Drew, what are your thoughts so far? Oklahoma, obviously, just the one loss to Texas. But then again, I think they've got a pretty decent draw so far as SEC competition. That obviously starts to change maybe this week and going forward. What are you thinking about Venables and the Sooners?
Yeah, very manageable draw so far, but that's about to change in a huge way. This is their defining stretch. But is the run game going to show up in any way, in any consistent fashion going forward? It could this week, and Ole Miss isn't exactly stopping the run. So if that comes around and it adds a little bit to the offense, which is obvious where all the questions are, I could see a path for them to win a couple of these games, get to 9-3. People saying that they could get in at 9-3. Maybe. I don't know. They'll definitely have the ammo to have a good resume, but I think they'll probably still need some help there. But how healthy is Mateer? It seemed like it's going the right direction. Had that kind of a feel-good win last week. They had the run game going. Mateer, it's a big one. He's not to pass the ball. He's going to be. Hopefully they can run this week. We'll see. But defense is going to take them far. I think this is the best defense that Ole Miss will have faced. This is the best offense that this OU defense will have faced. Oh man, the jury's out. I would have to say right now you're about to find out everything you want to find out about this OU Brent Venables team. And I think he's secured his job. I think it's safe for now. I think going into the year, that was a big question, but let's see how they finish this thing.
That's no doubt without the case. How do you finish? Because I agreed. He's given them reason to believe again. That defense is pretty dang elite. Back seven, still some question marks. Haven't really seen an elite passing game yet, but again,
sure,
you got to block that front seven to even get the ball off. So, Chris, what are you thinking on the Sooners?
I like this guy. He's like a hairier-armed AJ McCarron. I love it. That's like everything you said, spot on, dude. Like everything you said, spot on. And I hope you don't have the same chest tat as AJ as well, but you look just like him.
Yeah, I do.
No, perfect response. No, I think Oklahoma and Ole Miss. This is like the best game that no one. It feels like there's a game each week in the SEC now that is really, really good that no one's talking about, and for whatever reason, that's this one. Even though it's 2 top 12 ranked teams, Ole Miss going on the road. Not a thing they've had to do a bunch this season. They just had to do it in Athens. Obviously, didn't go very well. But I'm kind of with you. The offense goes out there and puts up 5 straight scores. They only put up 350 yards, but when they needed it most, they couldn't get it done against a Georgia team that made really good adjustments. I think in the fourth quarter, and finally got stopped the bleeding a little bit. I wonder what Ole Miss looks like going on the road in what should be a hostile environment. I still kind of think this Ole Miss or this Oklahoma offense is a little bit of smoke and mirrors. Like we've been told that this is like an elite offense because John Mateer is great, but it doesn't really feel that way necessarily. I'm kind of with what Ryan Seal here is saying too. They cannot really run the football. I'm fascinated to see the defense versus Lane Kiffin on offense. I think that's going to be a great matchup. I like Ole Miss to go on the road and win the game though.
Yeah, and the other side of the ball is just as interesting. The week-on-week is interesting, too, because I think it's probably the best opportunity for both sides that they've seen in conference, I would think. I think this is probably the most manageable defense that the OU offense will have faced, maybe. and same vice versa. So it's super intriguing on both sides. And I mean, I think this game is huge for OU with what they have next. It's massive. Yeah. I mean, they're not going to get, there's no respite anymore. It's all just, it hits you right now. I think the urgency is there for OU. It's at home, and Ole Miss, I mean, no one thinks of it this way, but they can lose this game and still get where they want to go because of what they have left.
For sure.
I'm still, again, well said by both of you, I'm still indifferent on Oklahoma. I don't, in agreement with Chris, I am not super impressed with the physicality in particular that Oklahoma offense. Just watching that film with Texas, 7 or 8 times, laughing at times about how soft Oklahoma was on the offensive line, tight end, running back positions. So is that who they are? No, I'm not saying that's who they are, but yeah, we're going to learn a lot more. That's where my big question mark is. I go back and forth on this because Ole Miss, their defense they look dog tired. They're not super, super deep. Giving up a lot of points late, couldn't stop the run. That's the big hang up on me because I know that Arbuckle's going to scheme up some points, but I also believe, as Chris said, Lane Kiffin's good enough to put up some points against a really good Oklahoma defense. This is by far the best offense that OU's seen. So I think we'll learn exactly how good that defense is here in the next couple of weeks, as kind of you guys both alluded to. Moving on, let's talk a little South Carolina. Chris, is Shane Beamer's seat hot at all, or should it be, in your opinion?
No, I've had some frustrations with him, I think, this week, and the way he spoke to the media was ridiculous, and some of his responses. I think one of my least favorite things that's been said by him since I started covering the team was that whole thing about, like, well, why did you guys line up from the 1-yard line in shotgun 3 straight times? And then saying, well, last week we lined up under center and you guys got mad about that. It's like, yeah, you fumbled the opening snap. Like, you saying, well, you think that was bad, we did something worse last week, is not a great response, Shane. That's like if your wife says, like, hey, you forgot our anniversary. It's like, oh, yeah, well, also, I think you gained weight. You're like, no. So the entire situation, I think, with Shane, I don't think he's in the hot seat. I think he's earned the right to fix this. Can he fix it? I don't know. I mean, now you're wasting Lenore Sellers' season. He is going to go to the NFL. There are still people that think he's going to be drafted in the first round or number 1 overall, which is, if I'm being honest, it's surprising, even though he has a wealth of talent. There's just not a lot that makes you think that they're going to be able to win football games, because, like, things that win football games, like when you're effective and like dominant or at least physical in the lines of scrimmage, they don't do that. Don't turn the football over. They sometimes, but also there's so much of their success is dependent on things that don't happen often, like forcing a ton of turnovers and being +2 in the turnover margin, or special teams touchdowns and things like that, because they still have one of the worst offenses in the entire country. They have, when you take away their non-offensive touchdowns, they've had 6 this season, they only have 8 offensive scores. And also, the one time they scored against Oklahoma, they needed 2 pass interference calls to get down to the 1-yard line. And then once they got there, it was still 4th down, and the entire left side of the line moved and they didn't call it. Now, like, I was happy about it, but it is a disaster. I don't see them. They're looking at 4-8 straight in the face, and it sucks. But it's also like you have to figure out a way with that kind of misery to have an opportunity to turn this thing around next year. And that's about all I can sell myself on with this team.
What's wrong with special teams touchdowns? What do you got to get good special teams play? What's so bad about it? It's the
only thing I get to talk about with this team. It's the only thing I can talk about.
I can't say the only thing I can talk about with Texas, but I'm talking about it more than I expected to be, and in relation to points scored and relation to success. Drew, what do you think about the Gamecocks?
I mean, Chris said it, but I mean, which of these games do they win?
Yeah.
What win is left on this schedule? It feels like if there's any Cocktober magic or any kind of Shane Beamer magic, I mean, maybe Clemson, obviously that's going to be a game they can win that one, but in conference, is it this week? Is this their opportunity? Alabama at the end of this run, at the end of this stretch? I mean, at home, backs against the wall. I don't see it. I'm with you. I think it's 8-4. I mean, 4-8, and yeah, no hot seat, nothing like that, but it's definitely a weird time. And I think we anticipated a step back, or I did, and this is probably a couple steps further back than I would have thought. So,
they're sprinting.
They're sprinting.
It is also, Drew. It's like what sucks, I think, the most from this situation, if you're being honest and objective about it, and I've had to like finally look at this at myself in the mirror when I hit the record button and be like, dude, if they go 8-4, this season is still an abject failure. If they won 5 straight games, the season as a whole is still a failure. And what really sucks is this team is talented enough. It's the most talented roster they've had in over a decade. From a blue chip ratio standpoint, recruiting, depth, all of it. Everyone talked about Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs, best offensive player, best defensive player on both sides of the ball on one team at Ohio State. Coming into the season, I thought Lenora Sellers and Dylan Stewart might have been two. And it has been they had 3 offensive linemen out for multiple games. I made the joke that the women's basketball guard or whatever position she plays, Chloe Kitts, is going to have to end up playing left guard for the team. Then she tore her ACL the next day. Just a horrific run for whatever the opposite of a generational run is for South Carolina. And now the worst part too is if you go out in the end and you beat Clemson, which they can do, you're like, hell yeah, we beat Clemson and we're 5-7. Sucks.
It is tough, and I mean, I really hate to see it, man. I root for the Gamecocks. Shane Beamer's easy got to root for. Love Lenora Sellers, and Drew, you gave me the hat tip on kind of being high on Alabama preseason when you weren't. I'm going to do the same for you here. I was really high on the portal acquisitions at linebacker. I thought you'd see more out of this front 7 as far as stopping the run, not conceding season high totals for the Oklahoma. Chris is gone. Maybe up there. He's back. He's gone.
I don't know what he did.
I'll leave it. He's trying to tuck it around. Sorry, we made him sad.
Done with the South Carolina talk. I know.
Yeah, I'm so mad now. I got to run away.
Yeah, appreciate you, Ted. Thank you for being here, my man. Appreciate the.
I didn't think it would be this bad though, Cord. It's a step worse than I thought for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. I didn't expect this. Again, I'm a big fan of Shane Beamer. Wouldn't want his seat to be hot. He's done really good things. You mentioned this is the most talented roster. I think eventually, he picks it back up. But that schedule, man, that schedule plays no joke. And when you don't have a no line and you can't stop the run, things get really, really difficult. Again, have had some injuries that have, bled into that scenario being as bad as it is. But sat through the Texas slander. Don't be a cat. I'm getting called out again, Chris. And the funny thing is he's only going to be here for about another 2.5 minutes. So let's get one more team.
I'll
Chris,
pick.
You pick.
Oh, boy.
There it is.
Oh man, you want to talk about a dumpster fire? It has been incredible to watch Auburn crash and burn. And here's the thing: I'm going to keep my voice down because I'm pretty sure my fiance, who's an Auburn grad, just made dinner, and she asked if it's going to be hot at 7:30. So I don't want to screw myself for the rest of the night. But I will also tell you, when you hire a swindler that comes out and is right posting all the fake. What do you call it? Crap, on Twitter about God is good, man. John 3:16, Psalm 37, whatever. And you base your entire identity off of hiring this morally superior coach for a morally superior fan base. They hired this dude because he beat Bama twice over a decade ago. Maybe that's not the right route when you hire somebody. And now we get to have one of the true joys in all of college football, and that is an off-season Auburn coaching search. And last time was so much fun. I don't know if we're going to get any fake stories and things that are being leaked from the boosters trying to get him fired and saying something happened with an intern or somebody on the staff. But I cannot wait to see which person these idiots that are in charge at Auburn decide to hire next. I hope it's Willie Taggart. And honestly, I don't think they're smart enough not to be. I don't think you can rule it out. That's how bad and dysfunctional. It's like my great aunt Ruth always said, we put the fun and dysfunctional in this family, and that is exactly what Auburn does, man. God bless.
I think they should bring back Gene Chizik or Gus. Just run that back one more time. Some familiarity.
You realize the most successful coach, the people running that whole program, and this is not like a rumor message board thing. This is a real thing. It's very well known. It is a group of 9 boosters and good old boys that have been running that thing for over 30 years, and it always has been. But you realize the most successful from a championship level coach that they've hired was Gene Chizik. And they hired that guy when he was 5-19 as a head coach. And there were no red flags going on with anyone it's weird. That's odd that they hired at Auburn a guy that's 5-19. That's the only guy that's won anything. And so I would love nothing more for all these idiots to give a huge apology to Brian Harsin because it's hysterical watching this thing crash and burn each week.
That makes my heart happy, man. I am so pro Brian Harsin. And when all that went down the way that it did, and then they hired the man that they did, everybody said, it's just to fix recruiting. It won't last long. And it played out perfectly. Drew, what are your thoughts?
Chris, I have a question. Why is he putting his life in the hands of Jackson Arnold and Peyton Thorne. How is that? You got Auburn in a bad position, right? You had it after Brian Harsin, whatever. You can handpick your quarterback. You're Auburn. You can do it. Why are these the guys? What is the thought here? And why is Jackson Arnold still the quarterback? I mean, I don't understand.
So I honestly believe, and this is more of a conspiracy theory on my own end. I think Hugh is so egotistical and narcissistic that he honestly is okay with failure as long as he is allowed to blame it on someone else. You guys think? Listen, laugh. I'm not even making a joke. I mean, like, dude, here's the thing. Like, we can all laugh about it, but think about what he did with Peyton Thorne last year. Think about, like, he was openly saying over and over that he is the problem. He was like throwing him under the bus every chance he got. And then you look at the team and it's like, well, is there anyone else that can help him out offensively? Oh, Jarquez Hunter's in the backfield? The guy who's averaging like 6.8 yards per carry? Here's another pop quiz. Do you have any idea how many games in his 46 games at Auburn, Jarquez Hunter got 20-plus carries?
Better not be 0.
2.
Oh my
he
God.
averaged 215 yards per game in those 2 games, and they won both of them. And to sit there and have that be a part of your offense and say, but no, the guy that I keep throwing under the bus, it is Peyton Thorne's fault. It is. I think there's a very real part of it that believes he is okay with failure as long as he can go blame it on someone else and convince other people that it's not his fault. I think he is that. Like, whatever the word would be. I'll have to talk to my therapist, Dr. Rocky, about it tomorrow, and he'll have to give me some good lingo. But I mean, dude, even last week at his press conference, he comes out and he says, I've talked to some of my coaching friends, talked to Butch Thompson, the baseball coach. I've never seen anything like this, and us losing games. It's like, brother, stop feeling sorry for yourself and figure out a way to fix it. And like, I mean, it's unbelievable that he is still the coach. And again, you're 1-12 against ranked opponents. The fact that he is even still the coach there is crazy to me. But yeah, it's a disaster, man. He has become. I thought he'd be perfect for there. I thought he was.
I did too.
I thought he was the perfect fit. That whole holier than now crap that from both sides, I thought it was perfect. I really did. I thought he would fix all their offensive issues and recruiting. They've given him every single thing he could possibly need to succeed, and he has done every single thing to make sure it hasn't worked.
Is it going to end this week? I think they're going to lose this weekend. I think Arkansas is going to get it. Arkansas's
defense is I was going to say worse than OJ's, but OJ he did get it. He did get off, so that's a bad example. It's bad though. It's bad.
It is bad. You have to tell me. Oh yeah, I like Arkansas's offense a lot though. I think that's one of the better offenses in the conference. And I mean, can Auburn's offense get out of their own way enough to win a game against a bad defense? That's
on the road.
Find out. On the road. And I was just there. That fan base believes in Bobby P, man. They're all in. That thing was electric for a 2-4 team after a rain delay in the fourth quarter. I think Arkansas is going to get a few teams. I think it starts this weekend. I don't know what's going to be happening. The conversations will be happening on Sunday there in Auburn.
All right, I got it, boys. Cord, I appreciate it as always. Drew, very nice to meet you, man, and really enjoyed it. And I'll talk to you guys soon.
Have a good one, Chris. Enjoy your dinner. All right, guys, we're going to continue on. We'll get more into the games in particular that are being played this weekend. But first, let's hear a word from another sponsor, David McClellan.
Big financial decisions don't have to feel overwhelming. There's someone who can guide you every step of the way. David McClellan is a fiduciary financial advisor with Forum Financial, and he's working closely with his clients as a true financial life coach, guiding every aspect of your financial journey with expertise and care. If his name sounds familiar, that's because David was a swimmer at Texas and a member of several national championship teams. Today, he channels that same championship mindset into helping people win with their finances. David specializes in financial planning, and he's contributed numerous articles to Kiplinger on the topic of retirement tax bombs. And right now, David is offering viewers a free intro consultation to assess your financial situation. Do not miss this chance to get personalized guidance from a trusted expert. To schedule your free consult, email David at dmcclellan@forumfinancial.com, or you can call him directly at 312-933-8823. The contact info is in the description.
All right, guys. Drew, just us for the last half hour, my man. Let's let it rock. Let's go. I'm a gracious host. We'll talk Aggies. We'll talk Tigers. We'll get into the meat of it a little bit. Tell me, 2, 3, 4 keys to victory for A&M, things that you see in your mind the Aggies must do in order to walk out of Death Valley with their first win in was it 3 decades since they've won at Death Valley? Seems like there's not been a better time to, pull that off than right now.
Yeah, I just read a crazy stat. Last time A&M was 7-0 was 1994. The last time A&M won in Death Valley was 1994. So I'm hoping we're partying like it's 1994. It's also the year I was born, so maybe we're coming full circle here. Hopefully I don't die soon, but this is a huge game. This is like the golden ticket for A&M. I mean, you see the schedule, you have the groundwork is laid. You win this one, and you have a pretty manageable path just winning one of 3 more SEC games to get in. But, LSU scares me, man. There's upside there. It's been ugly offensively. We talked about it with Chris. I mean, the offensive line looks like it can be had. It looks like the exact kind of offensive line that A&M has absolutely dominated in their homestand. That's been the thing with this A&M defense. Is this the offense that lets it happen? Can't let that happen, man. You can't let it happen. But I think my number one overarching key going to Death Valley at night is you can't help this team get in the door. A&M's had a penalty problem. I mean, you saw it. It was 13 penalties back-to-back versus Auburn and Notre Dame. They had like 7 first-half penalties against Mississippi State before they finally got it together. It hasn't been perfect, but it's been a lot better. Can't let the penalty bug bite you again. It's very important. And I know people debate whether holds or holds. I mean, that stuff's going to get called or it's not. You can't do the procedurals. And on the road, Death Valley, I don't know what level of belief will be in that stadium. Talking to Tiger fans, that they're out, but I have a feeling they're going to show up for a game versus Notre Dame at night, versus A&M at night. But don't beat yourself. Marcel's been solid. He's thrown a few picks this year, but for the most part has taken care of the ball. This can't be the one where we're giving the ball away, giving more chances to Nuss and this offense to figure it out. You got to tackle an open field. I mean, you saw it versus Arkansas last week. Running backs get to the next level. You have linebackers out of position when you're at your worst defensively for A&M. We love Torian York, but we kind of go as he goes. If he has a bad game, we see we're out of position often. I mean, he takes the bait sometimes, loses gap discipline sometimes. When he's on it, it changes the game for A&M. And I just think, I don't know how healthy Durham is, but I blank on the name, but the young running back they had, number 22, was really good last week, 5-star freshman. Got a tackle. Trades Green scares the crap out of me. I'm already having nightmares. Xavion Thomas, I mean, in a room that added Barry and Brown and Nick Anderson, Xavion Thomas is the emergence, which is insane to see. Kind of like a 3rd or 4th fiddle last year. He's been a big playmaker. So it's just the open field stuff for A&M. I don't know, Cord, how do you see it?
Man, I honestly, coming into this year, I told you this is the year. This is when I see A&M going to Death Valley and get their win. I anticipated LSU having their moments. I did not think that they would be Clemson. I did think that they would lose the Ole Miss game. I did think they would have a couple, maybe 3 losses by mid to late October. But now that the game is here and that A&M is 7-0 and LSU has their 2 losses, you talked about the fan base being into this one. I see one of 2 things, and potentially both. But LSU will show up, undoubtedly. They will show up with a lot of energy. It's LSU, it's Death Valley at night, regardless of how many people are already somewhat out the door on Brian Kelly and maybe this team. They're going to show up. But what happens if A&M jumps out early? What happens if A&M puts up a 10 spot in the first quarter and we're looking at 10-3, and then early in that second quarter A&M punches in another touchdown? How do those fans react to that? That is what I want to see, because I don't think that this is your standard traditional moment for LSU fans where it's a 4-quarter absolute backing. That life is on the line on every single play for those fans. I this is that one instant where I'm like, okay, it's not like they're going to turn and start rooting for the Aggies, but how restless do they become if there are some early struggles, which is, I think, one of my big keys is LSU must get off to an early start on the offensive side of the football. I think that Klein is good enough to throw a couple wrinkles at Baker early in this game. He struggles a little bit with the quarterbacks that can throw misdirection, be implemented into the run game. And obviously Marcel is playing about as good as football he's ever played. He had some really, really big and clutch moments and throws in that last game and that win at Arkansas, something that a year ago I have no doubt saying he probably doesn't pull off.
Right.
I'm really, really curious, man. It's I don't have this as my game of the week in the SEC, which is crazy, just because I'm really, really excited about another one down there. But I can't wait to see what happens. And nothing that happens would necessarily surprise me because, like you said, when LSU commits to the ground game, I mean, Caden Durham maybe has not had the year that they wanted to have. But when you talk about, I believe it's Harlan Berry that you're referencing.
Yes, that's right.
holy moly, that's a prospect right there.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
can they block? I think Elko is going to try to put a lot of numbers in the box and make sure that it is Garrett Nussmeier and this group of receivers that might not be working out the way that most LSU fans saw them working in this offense, in the preseason. I'm daring and challenging Nussmeier and that group of receivers to beat me because I know that A&M's defensive backs are big and long and physical. Challenge them. But again, I know that you've given up some big plays in the ground game, so it does scare me, man. I get why you'd have a little pause there. You touched on the penalties, always a big part of it. I'm very accustomed to watching pre-snap penalties, holds, kind of shooting yourself in the foot at times on the offensive side of the ball. It's kind of happened on both. Here you go. I need this, Drew. In 30 seconds to a minute, defend the faux injury penalty. Let me hear your thoughts on that.
Oh man, look, I don't defend the penalty. I don't like the fine. I feel like now with the rule that you get a timeout burned by doing it, you get rid of any benefit from doing it, and teams are just going to go away from it. And I think it happened on a split second. I believe, and I haven't dissected this, I haven't gone and looked closely, but I believe the player was nicked up and he was playing a couple of plays banged up, and the coaches were like, "Get down, just get down. We got to get you out of the game." And that happened. But now that you get the timeout burned, I mean, why does there have to be this excessive $50,000 fine? That's my question. I mean, you have the rule built in like any other penalty in a game. And I get that doing that hurts the sanctity of the game. It hurts, it makes the game look bad. You're faking an injury. The player clearly just dropped down. I mean, when you see it just in a vacuum, it looks bad, but it's fixed. It's addressed. You're burning it. You could call a timeout there too, and they're forcing you to call it. They're forcing you to burn it. So the $50,000 thing, I'm not on board with that. Maybe I'm obviously biased. I think that's a bunch of crap, but I don't know, man. It's a really weird thing. I thought we had this addressed.
Pretty hefty fine, I will say that. And I know it's
does he get to fight it? Does he get to get his hands up and fight this?
There's got to be some type of appeal process. You would think there's always an appeal process. Got to have a bylaw in there somewhere. I mean, I know I've seen some Aggies defend it. I did think it was pretty egregious, pretty obvious. But again, I can see your standpoint of why you think the fine is a tad bit too much. Speaking of faking injuries and potentially signal and sign stealing, let's talk Rebs and Sooners. With all due respect to both programs, let's not pretend like Lane Kiffin hasn't been guilty of faking injury or two. And I think I've kind of complained to you on the golf course before about Brent Venables in his affinity and love for maybe finding an extra advantage when it comes to preparation. And this is not something that has just been around at his time at Oklahoma. It was something that was very part of his idea and planning at Clemson, and then even before so at Oklahoma. And it's not just Steve Sarkisian, who has very quietly referenced it before. Now Lane Kiffin. It's not just those coaches. This has been happening with Brent Venables for a decade or more. Very, very many people know the game. All right. Now, credit to him for being good enough to still manage ways to pull it off. But then again, sometimes I start thinking, there's a way to counter that, because you've seen Texas have a lot of success on the ground the last couple of years, and we haven't had a lot of success on the ground the last couple of years against many teams outside of Oklahoma. So I'm done venting. I'm done ranting. It is what it is. Venables is good at it, but he does it. Ole Miss, Oklahoma. What are your first impressions of this game? Who do you think wins it? And I know we talked a little bit about it earlier, but what kind of keys for both sides?
Yeah, I'll get more neat and tidy into it. I mean, is this your game of the week?
Nope.
Damn, it's a stacked week. It's a lot of really interesting I don't think it's like that headliner marquee name program versus name program, but they're all really good, down to Auburn, Arkansas. But I mean, it's strength on strength, week on week here. We talked about it. This is the best offense that OU will have faced for sure on the year, and this is the best defense that Ole Miss will have faced on the year. And I look at Trinidad Chambliss. I really like the way he plays. He's able to address blitzes and pressures really, really well. And it's really fun to watch. I really like that play style, and that's what OU does. OU generates a ton of pressure. So and Chambliss struggles a little bit more with a clean pocket, reading defenses when they force him to pass downfield. The hot route, the check down isn't there. And that's kind of where he's been a little bit less, but that's OU's game. So my question is, how does OU address Chambliss? How does that work against a really, really good OU front? Or is that pressure just going to be so much so that they actually get him on the ground? That's my big question. I think this Ole Miss offense is somewhat proven now against, worse opposition on the defense. I mean, I come out of that Georgia game feeling all right about Ole Miss. I don't feel terrible about them. I just feel like Kirby Smart's that guy and Georgia's that team that they're able to just clinch down in the clutch of a game. But it's a really, really interesting matchup, that side of the ball versus the other. Ole Miss's offensive line is good. I think their running game is good enough in short yard to get the 2 yards they need at any given time. I think they're really good at staying on schedule, but this OU defense will test them in ways they haven't been tested before. So can they stay on schedule against that? I think the hurry-up game can really be in their favor, maybe keeping OU's on its heels. But if that takes away creativity from OU's pass rush or the disguises they throw in the coverage, and that makes them be more vanilla, does that plays into where Chambliss is a little bit worse. So really, really interesting game. A lot of fun. And on the other side, like I said earlier, it's week on week. It's the worst side of the ball for sure. An opportunity for both sides to get right, you would think. Can OU reestablish that run? I think, I know stats are one thing, but I think statistically Ole Miss is a worse run defense than South Carolina even. I might be wrong there, but I think they're in that vein. I mean, if that run can come back for OU and OU's at home, they could control the game on that side. It's possible. I mean, Mateer's going to get more and more healthy. They're going to make things happen. I'm going to give the slight edge to OU at home. I'm going to go something like 24-21 OU. I don't even think that's a cover. It's a really good game, and it's a really big game for OU because of what they have coming up.
It is a massive game for Oklahoma, and I will say this. I was a tad bit surprised when the line came out for this game, saw the Sooners favored by over a field goal. I believe it came out at 4.5 points. But then you start to look into it, and you look at the run of games that Ole Miss has played right now. I definitely think they've been the more challenged of the two programs so far. You look at the way these games have played out, and this Ole Miss defense is really struggling to stop the run right now. And if Oklahoma can run the football, that offense becomes a whole different monster. Again, I'm not sitting here screaming that Oklahoma's offense has, national championship upside or anything, because I'm not. I'm a believer. But when they run the football, John Mateer and that arm, the play action, the vertical shots down the seams become a lot harder to defend. So that is where I do think Oklahoma finds a way to win this game. I do think that they have one of their better offensive performances of the year. I think they'll be very motivated, even for an 11 o'clock kickoff. They are well trained for these games, being in the Big 12 for so long.
True.
Not a big issue. And I will say they handle the 11 o'clock kickoffs a tad bit better than we do. They'll be riled up. And so that Sooner defense is really, really good. And I really loved what you said about the fact that Trinidad seems to struggle a little bit more when he is just a drop back passer with a clean pocket. And so I've seen Brent Venables play a 3-high defense many times. I've seen him force teams to go the length of the field. Now, can Oklahoma run the football against the umbrella defense, or the flyover defense, if you will, coined by Ian Boyd from Inside Texas? Got to give him a shout out for that, because I use it all the time. But time will tell. I think it's a fantastic matchup of minds between Kiffin and Freeze. You got a very fun system for Ole Miss, very tough to shut down. But at the end of the day, man, I just feel like Oklahoma finds a way. I think there's even a chance that they cover that spread, because coming back off of that loss from Georgia, or in Georgia, Sanford Stadium, I mean, a very emotional, very physical game, and just think it's going to be pretty difficult to get back up from that on the road against an Oklahoma team, like you said, a feel-good game, feeling pretty good about themselves, and getting to play at home. Weren't nearly as challenged as Ole Miss was. Had an opportunity to rest some guys late in that game against South Carolina, get into their depth a little bit. But yeah, with that being said, we'll find out very shortly. 11 o'clock kickoff on Saturday. All right, Jay, we're going to talk Texas. We're going to talk Kentucky real quick. I'm going to pop up the old injury report right there. So big news, Texas fans. We've got a probable here for C.J. Baxter. It would be nice to get Seti back in the mix. It has been a while since we've seen him. I believe Sam Houston State, one of the first carries of that game. So would be a big boost to the running game. Of course, we'll need a little bit of help out of that offensive line, who's going to have Cole Hudson out again. So you can see Connor Robertson, the center for him. Xavier Filsami is looking probable as well. That's a guy that will spell some snaps for Michael Taff, who is confirmed out this week. Inside Texas does not believe that we will see Michael Taff. Most likely for the Georgia game. A chance for the Vanderbilt game would be very big in dealing with Vanderbilt and their misdirection offense. Also, you can see Jonathan Cunningham out, probable for Cunningham, but then Aaron Butler out as well for Texas, something that was expected. So no groundbreaking, shattering news necessarily. Is really, really good to see C.J. Baxter be listed as probable. All right, Drew. You're well versed with SEC football. You know what a trip to Starkville can do for a program, both good and bad. What do you think, or what are you looking at? What are you thinking about when you see this matchup and the way that Texas is coming off that game with Kentucky, but then a Mississippi State team, man, who they fight. They haven't been very successful yet as far as in conference, but man, they do fight like hell.
Yeah, I'll start with State because I actually like the team a lot, and it kind of disappoints me. And I guess I get it to see a little bit of heat for Jeff Lebby at this point in his tenure there, because I think he's getting a lot out of a team that just doesn't have the dudes just yet. I think they don't have tremendous depth. They don't have these studs up front that are able to wreck games or anything like that. I think they have some really good playmakers on offense, but you see one tackle goes down and that completely changes their offense. And Albert Reese, when he was down versus A&M and when he went down versus Tennessee, I mean, they couldn't block anybody. It was a big difference maker. So I'm really, if I'm a State fan, I'm somewhat satisfied. Of course, you let one get away from you last weekend, and that freaking sucks because they were right there ready to hit that field goal and they throw the pick. But I like a lot of what we're getting from Mississippi State right now. Obviously, Fluff Bothwell will be missed. He should be back this year. I think it's a similar injury to what Le'Veon Moss has sustained, somewhat of maybe a high ankle sprain in that vein of injury. He should return. Davon Booth is an admirable backup, but that really takes a hit to where they've been good, and that's that 1-2 punch at running back. You got to stop the deep ball here. Brennan Thompson can get it against anybody. Y'all should know that. I mean, been around 4.3 speed. Quarterback's good enough. Blake Shapen's good enough, I think. But I just think Texas's defense can shut this thing down. I just think that y'all get after this offensive line that should be relatively healthy. And having said that, I think the magic number for Texas is like 21, 24 points in this game on the road in Starkville. And that is the big question right there. Can you rally from whatever that performance versus Kentucky was? And in a down year for Texas's offense, that was a down game. It was astonishing to watch. I don't know if I said this on the show already, but my whole thought was with Texas going into the year was that this defense is going to give Arch Manning this new look offensive line, these new receivers, everything that's new. It's going to give him a chance to get this thing going. It's going to be behind to start the year, but it will get better. But you just had your worst performance yet in your latest game. So obviously there are flaws here that might be season lasting, but again, a defense that will keep you in games. So I think that if Texas commits to the run, this might be a game where they can find a little bit. This might be the one, especially if Baxter comes back and he's anything like himself, if he can give any kind of quality reps. I want to say it's possible this one, but you got to protect Arch. They're not a prolific pass rush team. Just do the bare minimum, keep them at least somewhat protected, give them a chance to find some rhythm. I know you've ridden this horse that he wasn't the problem versus Florida. It was the offensive line that was the problem versus Florida. It was all problematic versus Kentucky. So I think there's enough here. I think there's enough here for Texas to go to Starkville, annoying place to play. Your head will be ringing, even if you're watching it on TV. But I'm going to give it to Texas. I think something like 24-17, 24-14, somewhere in there.
You know, the biggest concern for me in this game is just simply how much our defense was on the field last week. And that because, like you said, do I think Mississippi State has world beaters on offense? I don't. That's not to knock Jeff Lebby's scheme. Jeff Lebby was responsible for, in my opinion, for the last victory for Oklahoma over Texas back in Old Red River 2023. And that's not to knock the Sooner program. I just think that Jeff Lebby, his tempo, Dylan Gabriel, they were a huge part in getting that victory. Obviously, Texas turned the ball over 3 times. Here we go. I'm going. It's already making my blood boil. But I have a lot of respect for Jeff Lebby. I do think schematically he finds a way, just by his offensive brilliance, that he'll find a way to get into the double digits. Texas has a really good defense. They don't present. Mississippi State doesn't necessarily present the same type of challenge that Kentucky does as far as lining up in 12 personnel and trying to body you. Coach Peter Kwiatkowski is really known for just shutting air raids down. And not that Mississippi State is full air raid. They still want to run the ball. But I like the way it matches up. I do have question marks. We'll see what Derek Williams looks like. I have high confidence in this guy again, but he is coming off a very serious injury, and now this is his first time where it's going to be taking the bulk of the reps there. And then Xavier Filsaime has been a tad bit banged up as well. So how much and how often are we challenged downfield by Blake Shapen? I really do think we find a way to turn him over a couple times. As you can tell, I'm going to do everything I can to avoid talking about the offensive side of the ball for as long as possible. But no, in all seriousness, it's run the dang football, man. Find a way, commit to the outside zone most likely, because we blocked it a lot better versus Oklahoma. We blocked it better versus Kentucky. We just didn't run it, but a couple of reps. We have to have some type of running identity here. We have to find a way to help out Arch Manning and this offensive line, who last week, as you said, it was all problematic. You know, I did ride the horse of, you know, Arch played a lot better against Florida than he was given credit for. But I'm always going to call it how it is. And we saw a very bad performance from Arch in a lot of spots last week. Should he have been benched? I won't go that far. I was kind of wondering if maybe for that last 10 minutes of that game, if we needed to see another quarterback just to put one drive together and find the win. But no, long term, I absolutely do not, because he's capable of doing things that no one else, in my opinion, on the depth chart is capable of right now at their point of their time at Texas. So Arch is going to have to step it up, and he's going to be the first one to tell you that, man. There's a couple of big misses where if he can hit even – I think I had it as 5 big misses in this game, where if he even hit 2 of them, I think Texas gets out of there with a double-digit win. I think he'll play better. I think Mississippi State has a lot less depth on defense than, you know, your traditional SEC program, because like Drew just talked about, you have 55 new cats on this roster.
Yeah.
We're still finding out, in my opinion, about this Texas team, this culture. This defense is going to step up and play really, really well, yes, but got to have some type of identity on the other side of the ball. We need to see that same type of, you know, just I mean, it just seems like they just couldn't be in more classes as far as college football goes. Like, hard to believe that they're on the same team sometimes. So help that offense out. Continue to put forth good special teams play. Ryan Niblett obviously has been a really popular name for the last 2 weeks. Not a big fan of fair catches, Drew. I don't know if you saw that last one that set up the field goal before OT, you know, which we thought should have been the winner there. But, I mean, Buddy had a lot of traffic around, didn't mind at all. So just find a way to get it done, man. Again, At this point, do I expect anything to be pretty necessarily? You know, no. But if Texas offense finds any type of life, then you're like, oh, yeah, that could easily be a 2-score win or a 3-score win even. And maybe we see it this week. But am I super confident that we get it? No, I'm not. But like Drew, I expect a win. All right, let's move on. All right, Drew, pick our next game. I mean, we probably A&M LSU, probably your favorite, but we'll do another couple. I'll let you pick one, and then I'll get to what's my favorite one there.
You want me to pick my favorite game? I think I already kind of touched on Arkansas Auburn, but that is such an unsung game for me this week. I'm so excited. Maybe it's because it's 2 former A&M opponents that we beat, but I mean, I couldn't be more high on this Arkansas situation at 2-5 right now. It was so electric there. The fans believe so much in what they're doing. I think, is Taylor Green the best quarterback on A&M's schedule this season?
Probably. When you look at it, when healthy, I mean, Taylor Green, I said he's as electric as any college football player there it's been in the last 2 years. Like, I have a massive respect for Taylor, especially considering the situation that he's in, you know, and what he's had to deal with.
Yeah, and he's scoring and he's doing the woo pig with the crowd. I mean, yeah, to be bought in like that and be all in out of eligibility with this program and what they've lost and where they're at with their coach entering on the hot seat, like the hottest of seats, it's commendable. And I actually really, really like their offensive line. I hadn't seen a team that A&M played this year, and this includes Notre Dame, that got the amount of pad pop against our defensive front that Arkansas did, especially their left side, man. I think it's Carmona and I forget the other guys, Coleman maybe at left tackle. Those dudes are thumping. And as good as this Auburn front is, I think Arkansas makes it happen in this game. So I just wanted to touch on this one. I think Arkansas wins. I'll give you one. You go ahead and go.
I had to bring it, let you pick one, but I love that you brought that one up. I do expect, just like kind of Chris alluded to, like Auburn's going to have a new football coach. It just seems like there's a lot more pride, a lot more belief, even with the record. Over with Arkansas right now. It seems like they're actually still playing for each other, playing for something.
Yeah.
The defense, it's not like they didn't put forth effort last week. I mean, they're busting their butt. They're just not a great unit. That offense believes that they can move the football on just about anybody. And they very big home run potential on any play. Petrino, I mean, it seems like he's coaching. He wants to be the head man there. So he's got a lot to prove every week. And so 2 different trend lines, in my opinion, even though Arkansas's record is 2-5. Like you said, I mean, I'm a little bit bought in just to the energy around the program. And just because you are 2-5, it doesn't mean that you're not still a threat to get out there and pull off a couple games late down the stretch. Like you said, you anticipate them beating somebody. They might be somebody a little bit better than Auburn too this year, but I have Arkansas Saturday as well. Let's go to this is my favorite game of the week, but it's Missouri and it's Vanderbilt. I think
Freaking
that is
game day. Let's go.
I am so pumped for this one, man, because I have both of these teams in my top 5 in the SEC. I think Missouri is still yet to be proven, if you will. They have their bigger matchups and opportunities to do so. Obviously, Drew knows about that. Both teams will have a bye week next week, and then they'll battle in Columbia. Mizzou got thumped at Kyle Field last year. I left by halftime. That was a boring half of football, I'm just going to say. I mean, not like I was just straight up rooting for the Tigers or anything, but I just wanted to see a good game. And wow. So that'll be a motivated bunch. But no, I love this matchup. Obviously, Diego and the boys coming off the big win versus LSU. The game is still there in Nashville, back-to-back big home games for Vandy. What a fun season for those guys. Can, imagine Vandy fans just a couple of years ago thinking, yeah, man, we got back-to-back ranked matchups here at, in Nashville. So really cool for them. But again, I'm very high on Eli Drinkwitz. This particular version of Missouri football. Love the pass rush. Obviously, the defensive line is fun to watch. They did take a loss to Alabama. I had them winning that game in a really, really, close ball game. But I thought it was very impressive to find a way to win at Auburn. Auburn still has a damn good defense. Find a way to win that one. And now it's like, can they go on the road again, Drew? I have my doubts, man, because this just sets up so well. I think Missouri, this is going to be their 4th straight ball game they played against legit competition. Vandy had a bye. Then they got a LSU team that has, they're okay on offense. Let's be nice here. They're okay on offense.
Right.
So from a physicality standpoint, I don't think, it's not like their defense had to stop the run a billion times. It's not like, it's in the 60s or 70s and you're seeing the triple option 50 times. LSU is a little soft on offense. And because of that, I think, I don't know. I want to take Vandy, man, but I have so much respect for this LSU team. Who do you think?
Dude, here's the thing. Look at I always blank on names. The really good running back from Missouri. I'm a bad name guy.
Ahmad Hardy. Sorry.
Ahmad Hardy. Yeah. Blowing it up all year, right? Like Heisman candidate, 130 plus yards every game until the last 2 in conference. When they go up against real defenses, he's down to like under 60 yards with like 25 plus carries a game. Mm-hmm. I think this is a step below defensively what they've seen the last 2 weeks. I think Auburn's defensive front is really good. That's going to stuff a lot of runs. Obviously Bama, very talented team. I'm very curious to see what that run game looks like on the road here. I'm very, very curious to see if they can establish that thing, because if they get that going on the road the way it was before, and if he's breaking tackles and having these crazy chunk yards, I think Missouri wins it. But I don't know if that happens. And I really am curious about those defensive ends you were talking about for Missouri they have 5 sacks apiece each on the season. Like, they can get you from both sides. Vandy's kind of struggled protecting from defensive tackle this year, besides the LSU game, who is pretty talented on defense. So a couple of really interesting things to watch. I think overall, similar teams. They both lost to Bama. Both have fun quarterbacks that can make it happen, but I'm going to give the edge to Vandy because I think they have the better fun quarterback, and I think they have the home advantage. So I'm going to go slightly in Vandy, something like, I think I have my score written down here. I'm going to go 31-27 Vandy.
I got a little points being scored. I like it, man. I think that, you mentioned the edges from Missouri. I would hate to play that position against Vanderbilt with all of the motion and the jet sweeps, and probably having to be very, very disciplined. And then you having to deal with Diego, who obviously can run the ball on counters and pulls. And then also, he can throw the ball as well. And then he's got scramble mode. Like, that's a fun offense. Obviously, it's not the most uber talented when it comes to your blue chip prospects or anything like that. But it's a tough offense to defend, tough offense to prepare for. One of those things where you kind of have to see it live, really get your feet wet with it, to have an idea of what you're dealing with there. So, like yourself, I'm going to take Vanderbilt to win this because, again, can Missouri run the ball on the road? Can they run the ball against a really good defense? They played 2 really, really good defenses in a row. This is a step down, as you mentioned, but Vanderbilt, I think the timing of this game sets up pretty well for them. Obviously, a little bit of motivation because before Vandy kind of got hot last year, they lost an overtime game in Missouri, a game that they probably should have won outright. I remember thinking they were 17 or 18 point underdogs that day and just thinking they might win outright. Almost felt like a genius, Drew, but rarely does that happen, my friend. Any other SEC games that you'd like to bring up, brother?
I'll add one more thing to that because I've been looking at LSU, and obviously that Vandy game is the most recent game. I'm astonished at how thoroughly bamboozled Harold Perkins was by that Vandy attack. I mean,
Yep.
every misdirection worked on him in the game. Play action had him in shambles in the game. And this is a kid with all the athleticism, all the physicality. He's a little undersized, but I think he's like the captain of the defense. I think he's a communicator with Whit Weeks out. I mean, just to see him so off in the game and pretty much neutralized in the game by this Vandy, just all the deception, all the motion, and like their 2 tight ends are their best weapons. There is a second one now. Spence is now a legitimate weapon for Vanderbilt, and they can hit you in ways you don't expect with those tight ends slipping out, and that happened in the game. It's a very tough offense to go against for a lot of reasons, and Diego Pavia is at the front of that. But man, I mean, I'm hoping A&M could do the same thing to Harold Perkins. Any other games? I mean, what do you have? I think I called my Bama South Carolina. What do you have in that one?
You know, I just don't see a way in the world that South Carolina finds a way to win that game. I think that Alabama is, I've said the last couple of weeks, on a bit of a mission. I think they're playing pretty pissed off. But again, they're very, very well coached. You're only seeing Ty Simpson grow. Alabama's defense seems to only be gaining more and more confidence. And yeah, I do say all this. I've been high on them for a few weeks now, for a few months now. I still had them losing to Missouri. So I thought, and that game shouldn't have been as close as it was so far as the final score without a very late touchdown on that one. Pretty dang impressed by this Alabama squad. Not very impressed by the South Carolina squad. I don't think that Alabama's ground game obviously is anything to write home about, but I still think that they can manufacture enough via winning field position battle and then the growth of Ty Simpson and a good slew of wide receivers. I don't think that they're in any real threat to win this game. I think they're very well could cover as well. It's like Lenora Sellers is great and had some moments, or South Carolina had some success last year. Even, was it Robbie Ashford in this game? I think it was Robbie Ashford against Alabama last year in Tuscaloosa, if I'm not mistaken. And they looked pretty good. South Carolina did. I don't think Lenore's and this Gamecocks offense have as much success as last year with Robbie Ashford and the Gamecocks. So just the offensive line is not as good. They don't have the juice, man. I would love to sit here and say it, man. But I'll touch on your Harold Perkins, your Vanderbilt offense take real quick before we get out of here. I think that's really well said, man. You've seen LSU defenses struggle mightily in the last couple of seasons with mobile quarterbacks, as I mentioned earlier. You saw what Marcel Reed did to them last October. They just look a little bit lost, and it's not like, they play a half step slower. I do like that Texas has to see this Vanderbilt offense before they see A&M, because I think y'all do a good job with misdirection. You have tons of motion as well. You're not immune to running a jet sweep or throwing the swing passes to Craver. Obviously, A&M's athletes are a little bit different than what Vanderbilt has. But you mentioned Spence. He's 6'7", I think, right?
Yeah, he's huge.
Hell of an athlete too. He had a really tremendous catch in that game that just picked up enough yards for Vanderbilt to go from a very third and long situation to a very third and manageable. Little things like that win you a football game, and mad respect for Vandy and that offense, because it is really, really fun to watch. Brother Drew, thank you, man. It's been way too long since we've been on camera together. I appreciate you joining Inside Texas Horse tonight. You will be back if you want to. Yeah, man. Thanks a ton.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Yeah, always, guys. And don't forget, y'all hop on over real quick. InsideTexas.com, get you a subscription in if you don't have it already. You can join today just for $1, guys. I'm telling you, these forums are hilarious right now, especially on game days. You have your full range of panic. You have your full range of support, the positive guys, the negative guys. It's a lot of fun. Y'all go check out IT and join us on the forums. Not just like that for football, guys. Baseball, basketball, we got it all. Most importantly, man, thanks for joining me, Drew and I. Throw a like on the video if you haven't done so yet. Y'all have a good rest of your evening.